You created a garbage society by lifting up such ridiculous ideals. That's why I targeted you, All Might. It's why I started gathering people to my cause.
The League of Villains. I'm sure you've heard that name a lot if you're a fan of My Hero Academia. They're the complete opposite to the hero organization, and have morals and ethics that make the worst villains in the world look more benevolent. First introduced in the final arc of the first season, the League of Villains from there onwards have made a huge impact in the My Hero Academia universe. Each of these villains has different personalities and powerful quirks, making them all the more dangerous. So today, let's take a look at this infamous League of Villains, and how to beat them once and for all. Okay, listen closely, Midoriya. The Vanguard Action Squad. So it is best to first know about who these villains actually are. After you learn about their origins and quirks, it's going to be easier for you to identify their weaknesses and easily take them down. Before going to meet the headman himself, let's see the most powerful squad of the League of Villains, the Vanguard Action Squad. If you don't remember, the Vanguard Action Squad first appeared in Season 3. Of course, back then they weren't specifically given a name, and looked like a bunch of hooligans. There is a nice backstory to this as well. At first, the League of Villains had one simple strategy: gather as many villains as they could, and then create a powerful Nomu that can fight All Might. So while Nomu defeats All Might, the rest of the villains would attack other heroes. But as you can guess, that didn't work out very well. This is a strategy they used when they first attacked UA High. But All Might defeated Nomu even in the weakened state, and the UA students managed to take down the rest of the villains without any trouble. Their leader, Tomura Shigaraki, wasn't impressed. Nomu was defeated by All Might, and the villains were defeated by mere first years. So then, like every good businessman, he started focusing on quality over quantity. He started to hire more powerful villains, and even though their numbers were small, they managed to create a huge impact. They nearly wreaked havoc during the camping trip, and they managed to take down many heroes. Finally, they managed to topple down the symbol of peace, All Might himself. Dabi. So, who are the baddies in this group? The first and foremost member is Dabi. He's one of the regular fire users, but the power of his flames makes him a dangerous opponent. His flames have a power to match Endeavor's flames, and he is also talented in guerrilla warfare. His quirk is specifically known as cremation, and the power of his flames are based on the emotions he feels. Dabi is feeling cool and spending some quality time with his friends, then that's the best moment to attack him. He's enraged and looking to kill some people, then it's best to turn back and start running.
Stay down. You make good fuel.
Now, the problem here is that there are no moments where Dabi is simply happy, so his flames are always strong, but there is a certain way to defeat him, and that is by using his own flames. When Dabi uses his flames too much, his flames can consume him, so if you taunt him to use his flames too much, or force him to survive on his quirk for a long period of time, then his body's gonna get burned through his own flames. It's brutal, but that's the only way to defeat him. Himiko Toga. Next up is the cute-looking yandere girl who has a strange obsession for Midoriya. Himiko Toga may look like a girl with bad parenting issues if you see her on the street, but when she changes masks and joins the League of Villains, she turns into a ruthless killer. Personally, I think Himiko is the most dangerous out of the league. Her quirk is transformation, and she can quickly take on the appearance of another person by ingesting their blood. So, if she could be anywhere, taking the disguise of anyone you know, and you still won't be able to spot her, well, I know that's among us in real life, but similar to everyone, her power has its weakness, and Himiko can hold her disguise only for a limited number of times, and when time passes, she turns back to her usual self. So if you manage to find the imposter, and she's looking pretty sus, then it's a matter of time before overpowering her. Once her energy runs out, she'll transform back, and you can then use that moment to catch her. Twice. The third member's Twice. He may be the funniest in the group and a person with a lot of humor, but his quirk is not something to be underestimated. Twice's ability allows him to multiply, and through multiplication, he can even fight an entire nation. So how do you take down a man who can multiply faster than the coronavirus? Simple. You find the real Twice. But finding the real person among a number of clones is going to be difficult. So the second option is to manipulate the clones. Twice's clones have much less power and sanity rather than the other clones, so they can be easily manipulated. They've fought in the past when Twice created too many clones, so use this to your advantage and manipulate the clones using any hero who has a mind manipulation quirk. Once the clones start fighting each other, they'll kill themselves, and the real Twice will appear among the chaos. Take him down, and it's going to be real easy to do that, because by then, he's going to be having plenty of trauma from his dual personality disorder. Nomu. Now that the big three of the Vanguard squad have been discussed, let's take a little look at their most powerful weapon, the Nomu. Their heads may look like garden birds, but their shock absorption and regeneration quirks make them the most powerful artificial weapons to date. The two most prominent Nomus are the USJ Nomu, who fought All Might during the UA raid, and Hood, who fought Endeavor during the Pro Hero arc. Both of them were built to withstand powerful attacks, and it's proven true when both the Nomus withstood heavy attacks from both All Might and Endeavor. Unfortunately, so far the only proven way to defeat Nomus has been through strength. Both All Might and Endeavor defeated them using their Plus Ultra abilities, which is enough to show how dangerous these Nomus can be. Alternatively, you can also figure out how these Nomus are created, and then defeat anyone who possesses such a knowledge to defeat Nomu. But there is also one stroke of luck when defeating these Nomu. Nomus such as Hood have a weak point. In the case of Hood, his weak point was his head, and attacking there would end the fight much faster. Tomura Shigaraki. Now that the Vanguard and their main soldier has been taken care of, let's take a look at Tomura Shigaraki. The mastermind behind the League of Villains, Tomura may look like a skinny version of a villain who no one would take seriously, if not for his weird mask. But this man has a lot of quirks inside him that make him more powerful. Tomura's main quirk is Decay, and this allows him to disintegrate anything he touches. But Tomura rarely uses this quirk, because he has strength and speed to back it up. In the manga, it's shown that Tomura possesses enhanced speed and strength. It is also said that he could fight Gigantomachia, one of the strongest villains, up to half a month without breaking a sweat. And that's not all. Tomura possesses high intellect and knows how to tame any villain and give him the proper mindset to defeat the Hero Association. Tomura also possesses strong willpower because of All for One's teachings, and this man is going to stop at nothing until he achieves this goal. So how do you stop this overpowered Gary Sue? It's simple. You overload his power. In the recent chapters of the manga, Tomura has also achieved the power of One for All, making him like a modern version of Madara. But in the end, there is a limit to the strength his body can hold. Similar to Dabi, if Tomura holds too much power, his body is going to begin to decay, and his own strength will fail him. So fighting Tomura is a very bad thing to do, since he now possesses the power to decay an entire area by simple touch. So let him hold his power for some time longer, and when his body becomes weak due to holding too much of his power, that's when you attack. You need to be careful not to touch his body, because even the slightest touch will cause decay. So use as many projectile attacks as you can, and then when most of the damage is done, use your final attack. Defeating Tomura is going to be easy if you're a fire user or any other user with ranged attacks. The further you are away from Tomura, the better. All for one. Finally, we have the god of the League of Villains himself, All for One. His quirk is the same as his name, and if you think this villain is all about being overpowered, well, you're wrong. All for One gained his power by consuming many other quirks, so he has multiple abilities such as Search, Warping, Air Cannon, Rivet Stab, and more. He's also 1,000 times more powerful than a normal Nomu, and the only one who's managed to defeat him has been All Might. He is the greatest asset the League of Villains has, and you won't even get a step ahead if you don't know how to take him down. The only visible way to defeat One for All, we have seen so far anyway, is the United States of Smash. United States of Smash! But that's not the only way. Let's backtrack a bit. Back during his prime, All Might managed to easily defeat One for All, and this was because he possessed much strength back then. But since characters like Midoriya would have a long way to go before they reached the level of All Might, the only possible way to defeat One for All is to divide and conquer. This strategy is simple. First, we analyze each one of his possible quirks, and then we find the exact opposite of those quirks. If All for One has air cannons and can release shockwaves, we've got to find a hero who can negate that air pressure. If he's got the power of speed, we need to find a hero with similar or even less speed. The point is to launch a group attack and use each one of those quirks to negate attacks of One for All's quirks. If you can let two bro heroes like Endeavor and Hawk lead the main charge and then use their powerful attacks to weaken One for All, this way the other heroes can negate his other quirks, and then one powerful plus ultra attack will be enough to bring the villain down. The rest of the villains. So there goes the best strategy to take down the bosses of the League of Villains. If you take down the bosses, the rest of them will soon scatter away. Most of the villains inside the organization are there because of both Tomura and One for All's presence, and without proper organizational structure, well, the League of Villains is soon going to break down. We hope you gained some insight about how to defeat the League through this video. Always remember, it's divide and conquer. That's the best strategy to take the organization down. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to see more how to beat videos like this. That's it for today, anime fans, and I'll see you all in the next video.